Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I am Mick, your host with the most, just ask your girlfriends, wives, and especially your boyfriends and your husbands. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. So please do so. If you like what you get from me here on YouTube, please check me out on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. A very warm welcome to Sunday's edition of the DCU Daily. Hello, I am Mick. So I've got a world exclusive for you today. Now, what's very, very clear about the DCU, it hasn't gained the interest that David Zaslav hoped so. Even though Warner Brothers Discovery are doing really well in the box office this year, they are hemorrhaging money every day, every week, every month. They have to start selling their assets. They have no choice in the situation. Now, David Zaslav's role in being in charge of Warner Brothers Discovery was to rise Warner Brothers stocks and values up to be able to sell for as much as possible. But instead of going up, the stocks are going down. They even sold 20% of their stock the other day. So it's not looking good for them. Now, the main point of this video is Paramount Pictures, which is very much in line with DC. It's the same subject, right? Bear with me. Now, I'm sure some of you in the know are quite aware that Paramount Pictures was on the verge of bankruptcy, on its knees, as they all are, from their own doing and their own making. But Paramount Pictures was about to go down. And that would have been sad, you know. My dad would have been spinning in his grave. But they've been saved. Paramount Pictures have now got new ownership with deep pockets, and they are going shopping. And they've already bought some things, and every day I'm reading headlines about Paramount doing this, Paramount doing that. Paramount Pictures have put the feelers out to David Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery, asking them if they would like to sell DC Comics to them. And Paramount Pictures are very serious about this. We already know that they're big Zack Snyder supporters. But I don't want to make this story all about Zack Snyder. DC is not making money for Warner Brothers Discovery. We know that comics don't sell anymore, and it doesn't help that the lack of quality of comic book stories is on the floor. They don't promote young artists and young writers. It's the same people. And it's the same with Hollywood. They don't promote anymore. There's no conveyor belt. It's the same old people. And there lies the problem. But yes, Paramount Pictures want to buy DC Comics whole. They believe they can mine the IP, a term I don't fucking like personally, but they really believe they can make a lot of money from DC movies and TV shows, but especially gaming as well. Now, we heard a lot from James Gunn when DC Studios was launched that they would be developing games for DC Comics characters, and nothing's happened. So it's all very, very strange, isn't it? But yes, Paramount Pictures do want to buy DC Comics, and I think they're very serious. And I think, yes, David Zaslav is open to this because the walls are closing in on David Zaslav. The other week in the Hollywood Report, we read an article from one of the guys at Warner Brothers who had to convince David Zaslav to take a reduction of the money he gets. He had to explain to him, look, David, if you keep on getting paid the money you're getting paid, this company will fold within days and weeks. Imagine how inept this fucking man is not to understand he was bleeding the company dry. He was getting wages in terms of a CEO that had taken a company to the top, which he hasn't. You only should be getting paid that type of money when the company's doing so well. And as I keep on saying, Warner Brothers is hemorrhaging money every day. They have to sell. There's no avoiding that now. DC Comics has to be sold. Now, I don't know if Paramount Pictures are in a position to buy Warner Brothers, as a whole. My concern is with DC Comics where different characters go to different companies. Superman goes to Paramount, Disney buy another character, and, another company again, and Netflix buys Batman and something silly like that. That's what we do not want. That would be terrible. I mean, it'd be interesting in a sense. You'd have Netflix making Batman movies, but you could never unite anything. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe uniting these characters is part of the problem. But what I'm very interested in DC being bought by Paramount Pictures. I do believe the new ownership at Paramount are good people, want to entertain people, want to make money via entertaining people. They understand. They've done their research. They're trying to work out what sells, what doesn't sell. They know that the previous leadership of Paramount have made an absolute pig's ear of Star Trek. They're looking to fix that as well. So I think better times are ahead if you're a fan of the stuff that Paramount own. So I will be in huge support of Paramount buying DC Comics. This news is very exciting for me as a DC fan. Very, very, very exciting. And I think it's a reality, as I say. I don't know if they're in a position to buy Warner Brothers Pictures, as a whole. But there's another piece of news I haven't mentioned. Now, I mentioned earlier how Warner Brothers Pictures are doing really well at the box office this year. That's because the one decision that Saslav got right, which was bringing in adby and deluca, I think they were at Amazon before, wherever they were, bringing them in has changed everything. Do you remember the earlier reports this year that he was going to fire them? And I think that was a leak from Peter Safran, who was trying to replace them. And I think that's why the report said that he was going to replace them. Never going to happen. Well, Paramount Pictures want to bring adby and deluca with them if they buy DC. They want adby and deluca to rebuild the brand with them. adby and deluca are the real deal. As we can see, they're doing a great job with WB Pictures. So again, I will be in full support of adby and deluca coming with the DC package. So we can only cross our fingers and hope this happens, because we can't carry on the way we are. Because I've explained before that I don't hate James Gunn, that he's a good, capable writer-director. He's good at the one trick. He knows what to do. But you can't do that for a whole franchise. Like, you can't have DC Studios just being about groups of anti-heroes, can you? It's fucking ridiculous, and it's all he knows what to do. Now, I wouldn't think in any shape, way or form that Peter Safran and James Gunn are part of the package at DC Comics if Paramount buy them. They'll be done. It'll be over. And I think it will be a very interesting time to be a DC fan if Paramount Pictures, if Paramount Global buy DC Comics. So it's something we can just hope for, show our support for on Twitter and other social media platforms. But yeah, this is a reality. Paramount are absolutely interested in making this purchase. And from what I can see, these are very competent people. So yeah, really, really interesting times right now. But what happens to Warner Brothers as a whole, I don't know. Because if it's a case of just selling the company off bit by bit, DC Comics, Harry Potter there, DC Comics there, but you never know. Paramount may want to buy Potter as well. They may want to buy WB as a whole. I don't know. But Paramount are going shopping. There's no question about it. This new leadership are building up a company that could be the biggest studio in Hollywood, right? Because they're making great decisions right now. I like what they're doing. They know what went wrong with Paramount before. We all know what went wrong with Paramount before. We all know what's going wrong with entertainment in Western culture as a whole. I spoke about this yesterday. They're making the films that they want to make. They're making the streaming shows that they want to make. They're not making things that the audience, the customer, want to see. And that's a problem, isn't it? They don't have a conveyor belt of new talent. It's the same old people, jobs for mates all the time. That has to change. So I do really believe in what Paramount are doing, and I'm very, very excited about what Paramount are doing. And I want Paramount. I absolutely want Paramount to buy DC. Because there's certain places I wouldn't want DC Comics to go. I'm not necessarily sure that Netflix is the right place for DC. And I'll tell you why when we see what they did to The Witcher, for example, and other shows. That they tried to say that Cleopatra, they did a documentary saying that Cleopatra was actually black. So is Netflix the right people? No, I don't think, and I'm not a fan of, I'm not a fan of fucking streaming. I think streaming is the killer of entertainment, the killer of cinema. We're hearing actors getting paid more money to do streaming movies and shows. This is not fucking good. Let me just tell you something about television before I continue with my exclusive today. Television shouldn't be a film. A TV show shouldn't be a film. A TV show should be shot like a TV show. That's the difference. And when you don't have showrunners and you're making a movie instead of a TV series, there lies the problem. This is what the MCU shows, streaming shows, got absolutely wrong. How can you not have a showrunner? Because Feige was the showrunner, basically, of every fucking MCU show. And did that work? No. They crashed and fucking burned. The DCU is struggling. Peacemaker is struggling in the ratings, the new series. Penguin's winning Emmy Awards, well done to them. And, when you look at the Penguin, the streaming numbers are through the roof compared to Peacemaker 2. Compared to Creature Commandos. There's a real interest in Matt Reeves' The Batman Saga because it's made by an indie storyteller who's got a vision, who's got a passion for the character. That's the fucking difference. Matt Reeves is the real fucking deal. That's why The Penguin was critically acclaimed. I have issues with that show's narrative, for sure, and agenda, modern day agenda, but it was a well-made show. And in places, very well done. But a lot of the storytelling I wasn't happy with. But, as you can see from The Penguin, very successful, critically acclaimed, winning awards, high numbers on streaming. And when you compare the rest, all the DCU stuff, there's no interest in it. There's no interest in Superman, really. There was no interest in Creature Commandos. There's not much interest in Peacemaker 2. Why do you think he announced Man of Tomorrow the other day and said Peacemaker 2 is a prequel to Man of Tomorrow, desperately trying to get those numbers up. The digital home release of Superman is not selling. They've had to reduce the price of that movie at least twice, maybe 3 times. And they're just about making more sales, but not enough to make the kind of profit you would want to make from a home release. Say what you want about the Snyderverse and Man of Steel. Man of Steel did have great discussions. It was popular. It was selling in the home release, right? Superman's physical media, when they release that physical media, will not keep up with the physical media sales of Man of Steel. And I don't even think that digital home releases were a big thing back in 2013, if at all. I can't really remember. So this whole David Zaslav plan to reboot DC, film and television, and have it as one unit is not working because he's put the wrong man in charge. He's put a good, capable writer-director in charge, but he's not a CEO. And he only knows how to tell one type of story. We've seen them panic, change their plan, if there was even ever a fucking plan. So I think the negotiations between Paramount and WB Discovery will continue over the sale of DC Comics. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. As we know, these things take fucking time. And I will keep you updated, I promise you, about that. But if you want to see great DC movies and TV shows of the quality of Smallville and Superman and Lois, we have to get DC out of Saffron's and Gunn's clutches because it's simply not it. Paramount really are DC Comics, DC Films and Television, Last Hope.